Now, e- every day, you are filter of opportunities, what you call it. So many things are available for you. But always worry is when so much is available, are you able to filter it? Which is required, which is not required? That's what real challenge for our generation. Even I tell my teachers also, we need not give the knowledge to the students. The whole knowledge is available for them. What we have to guide them is what is necessary for you. That's what important. So we are involving so many people. They are giving a lot of information, but always please, every talk, something you will learn. Okay. But sometimes you may feel that, okay, 1 hour I was sitting in the class. He has what you call spoken so many things, but I did not get anything. I may not be immediately useful. But sometimes what happens, the knowledge what you gain today, you may use that knowledge maybe after 6 months or after 1 year or like that. So please have a habit of noting down when somebody is giving guest lecture to you. Don't sit just like that. You cannot remember after 1 week. So my sincere advice to all of you is please make silent main features in the notebook and keep it. I one more suggestion, always maintain one notebook for all guest lectures. Whenever you sit in the guest lecture, make main points, keep it like that. So all the guest lectures one place, sometimes you may need it. Or I am telling, suppose if you are attending an interview may ask you, speak something. Sometimes they give you a chance, speak something. Then if you say that, sir, on so and so date, I had a lecture given by somebody. So this what information he has given. It is so useful for me. Like that, if you tell, that's also enough. So that's why so many things now. That is what Institute Innovation Cell is there. IIC. That's what Dr. Shankar is telling. On behalf of IIC, the government of India, that's AICT, has given a money to us to organize these lectures, what we call it impact lectures. Like that, so many lectures were organizing, but please try to learn something from it and make use of it. Especially today's topic is the highly burning topic. You know that cyber security is highly burning. So cyber security, what you call, is almost I can say that it is helping too much. It is also damaging too much. Both ways it is there. So how to make all that knowledge for the sake of the society? How you can make it better way? I think Mr. Trilok will put some light on that. You will learn something. So on behalf of all of you, on behalf of the college and IICCL, I invite you once again and thank you all. So on behalf of you, I want to thank Mr. Trilok once again. Thank you very much, sir, for coming and joining us. Welcome, sir. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. I hope I'll be able to deliver something useful today. Good morning, everyone, once again. My name is Trilokchand Kilari. I basically work for an organization called Marvel Technologies, and we do a lot of security-related software and security-related products today. And at some point, like Dr. Shankar approached me saying that, okay, since you are in this domain, why don't you do a talk to the, talk to my students? And I was very happy to accept that. So we'll get into the subject right away. Okay, my agenda for the talk today would be, yeah, so I'll talk about a little about myself so that you know where I'm coming from and you know where I'm getting my knowledge from, right? And then we'll talk about cybersecurity in general and the issues that are present today and something called attack surface. I'll tell you what is attack surface and how organizations are protecting themselves from the cyber threats and things like that. And then we'll talk about critical thinking. So what is critical thinking and how we should think, in this information era with respect to cybersecurity. And probably we'll just summarize about, what we have learned today. Okay. let me talk about myself a bit. I have 24 years of experience in semiconductor product development, mainly in the routers. You can see the some of these companies, Cisco, Broadcom, NXP. They make a lot of routers and switches, and many of you are aware that uh, Cisco firewalls are very commonly used firewalls and VPN routers. I got an opportunity to work with Cisco routers and switches and a lot of edge devices, all the way from a customer premises equipment to the cloud. And then I worked with Broadcom at a chip level. That the Broadcom delivers a lot of silicon technology to the world, and where I got the opportunity to get the software written on top of those chips for routing and switching again. And I worked with HP. HP is HP. I don't need to introduce HP to you. Hewlett Packard is one of the giants in the information technology today, and they have products everywhere, starting from a small digital signal processor all the way to a huge cloud technology. So I got opportunity to work with HP on products like HP Virtual Connect, which is like a data center top of the rack switch. I was managing this particular Virtual Connect software development, and it's a $1 billion product, to be proud about it, right? Then NXP is another semiconductor company, and they are into I don't know how many of you have heard NXP, but it was founded by Philips. You must have heard about Philips at least. I know for sure every one of us have one or the other device either directly visible to us or indirectly. What I meant by indirectly is most of your washing machines, fridges, TVs, and things like that will have Philips equipment. So NXP is the company who are mainly into the sensors and microcontrollers. And they are also into some of the routing switching products, mainly in the processor segment. I had opportunity to work with NXP and NXP their security portfolio as well. At Enlog Devices, I feel really proud to be part of Enlog Devices as my first company, where I had opportunity to do a lot of research and development, and I was part of some of the great people who have created this technology right today, that like your mobile phone, when you turn your mobile phone, the screen actually turns in that direction you're turning the mobile phone. I don't know how many of you know the technology behind that is called MEMS, micro electromechanical. A chip developed by Enlog Device is being used by the entire world right now on a daily basis, and that's the kind of company it is. They develop a very fundamental technology. They do a lot of research, and they come up with products that will be there, that will be there for decades long, right? So I'm really very proud to be working with one of all these companies, and currently I'm with Marvell Technologies. Marvell basically has so many, again, Marvell is again a silicon company, has so many different products. And I'm working in the security division as I'm managing basically the qualification of the security products that we are having. And I also manage a lot of teams, and currently I'm managing a team of 15, 20 people. So that is about myself. So all the knowledge that I'm gaining, all the knowledge that I've gained is from these companies, working with the companies, and working on the products in this segment. So I'll be very happy to share some of the knowledge that I've gained. I hope it will be interesting. I'll stop in between for questions. So if you have any questions, you can write, and probably you can find a anchor for your question. Someone actually deliver the question to me so that I can answer. But mostly I'll try to be, in a flow for some time. Okay. Thanks for being very patient with me. I'd like to put a disclaimer before I start my presentation. Some of the pictures I'm using in the presentation are downloaded from web. This is purely for educational purposes, since they were well depicting the message that I wanted to give it to you. And I'm really thankful to the developers of the content, and I hope that will be useful for you too. instead of referring to the presentation slides directly, you can directly go to the website, because most of the slides will have the information about where I would have taken that info from. So I'm putting together things so that, you will be able to at least establish an understanding of, what I have delivered. Okay. So before I start, I'd like to put one couple of questions to you. You don't need to answer. I'll guess my answer. Maybe if you have a question on top of it, you can ask me. What do you do? What do you look for when you buy a computer or mobile phone? The first things that you look for. If I guess correctly, you would look for the faster processor, so that you can run so many applications, and you don't want to see any lag in your apps, right? In your YouTube video, when you're watching videos, or when you're you downloading some content or things like that, right? So you don't want any delays there. That is definitely one thing. And other thing that we would look for is battery life, because the handheld devices definitely needs power for longer periods of time without connecting to a power source. So they are all battery dependent. So you would definitely look for battery. You would look for lot of great features in the phone. Basically, if there is some better camera, right? And you might be even looking for some nice sound coming out of it, like whether what kind of an audio technology that is there, right? So you may want to listen to songs. So all these are something that you would look for. But do you look for what software is there, and is that software secure? I really doubt if many of us are really doing it. Even probably I also overlook at some of those aspects at sometimes. Two things that we don't do are definitely necessary are the software that we download, and if there are any known issues with the software, known security concerns with the software. That's one thing. Second thing is we don't look at the update. Whenever you have a software update in the phone, we don't read the basically what is coming in this new version. There must be some bugs fixed. What are those bugs? Bugs means some issues with the applications or device and things like that. But these are very, very important. Why they are important? I'm going to talk about that in this session. And other thing is, like, lot of times, in the newspapers and in the news, we hear that, okay, these applications are banned. Okay, these apps are very dangerous in your phone to have, and some people even call like all Chinese apps are bad. That's not really true. But then there is skepticism always, right? That whether once a doubt is created, you will look for made in China, all made in China, and throw it out. But if you look at why part of it, right? Why some applications are banned, some applications are not to be used. That is because of mostly you are also majorly aware that those are all because of the cyber threats that these applications expose. What are the cyber threats? Someone can steal your user login. Someone can steal your bank account details, and and eventually they steal your money. Someone can steal your personal Aadhaar card number and things like that, very sensitive data of yours. Someone can steal your photos. Someone can steal your videos, and they can steal anything that is called as information, right? So in this information era, it is very, very important to be aware of cybersecurity. This is not for just industries. This is not just for a few experts in certain areas. This is not just for the students or for classes learning something. This is for everyone who uses a gadget, everyone who uses information today. It's so very critical that you need to know what is happening. You need to be aware, and you need to act. What I mean by aware is, yeah, you need to read those newspapers. You need to understand what apps to be removed, why they need to be removed, what kind of information exposure that they're having, and you need to act. You need to immediately remove those apps, or whatever suggestions are made by those news events. I think you need to take care of them. Okay, then we'll get into this, the subject. Sir, in case if I'm going too fast or too slow, if you have any feedback, please stop me so that I'll be able to correct myself. Shankar, one of you can help us. Help me, please.
Sure, sir. If anyone asks, I will definitely let you know, sir. As of now, I think we are
Thank
good.
you.
Students, you are able to follow, right? So we are good, sir. We are good to go.
Perfect. Thank you. So, okay, the cyber security. If you look at cyber security, see, we are never used to these terms of cyber and security, ciphers and encryption and decryption, all those things, right? Because we never worried about really the security part. When you're opening an account with bank, right? It is all bank's problem. All that you need to safeguard is your passbook or your ATM card or whatever it is. Before the information era got into this banking sector and things like that. Before you got a banking app on your mobile, before you got your Phone Pay or Google Pay or any of these things on your mobile phone, what we were worried about is only safeguarding your passbook, safeguarding your ATM card, some of the details, that you only know. And the security concern starts only from the bank. So if someone is like, okay, someone hacked the ATM or someone broke the ATM and stole the money, someone hacked the ATM PIN number by using some kind of a imitation method. Okay, so that is a concern mostly of the bank. And whenever your money is you lost your money and RBI gives you some time to get your money recovered. But then, of course, many of us are not even aware of that. But what happens is the security concern was only at the bank. But now everything is in your hands, right? Now the bank has come to your home, into your computer, into your mobile phone, right? In the form of information, right? The information accessibility through some networking, right? Either it is through mobile phone, mobile networks, or through a landline network, or through a fiber network, whatever means it is, right? So it now information is with you. The bank is in your hand. That means a portion of the bank, as if you need to think that your account is was put in a box and given to you directly, that you need to protect yourself in your mobile phone or computer or whatever device you are using, right? So, but then what happens is whatever problems that bank was having with the security are all exposed at a user level now. That means you are part of the bank. You need to protect your asset by yourself, because you will be logging in the device. You don't know whether that is a secure login or not. That means you will give your username, you will give your banking password, and you may even give the OTP. But you don't know your information is actually going to the bank or not. I don't know how many of you really know the difference between HTTP and HTTPS when you're accessing a website. If you, I assume most of you know, but anyway, I'll give you a brief about it. The HTTP is a insecure connection, so you cannot use HTTP to access banks and things like that. No sensitive website should be accessed with HTTP. You need to access them with HTTPS. S means secure. Basically, there is a secure channel through which you will be accessing the website. That means the connectivity from your point to the point on the banking server, it is end-to-end secure. So it's very some of these things are very basic, but if you are not aware, you will get into that the cyber attacks and that phase, and you may get exposed, and then hacked your mobile being hacked, or your account money from your account has been withdrawn by someone, right? So one possibility is that you have given you access a bank site, right? HTTP. Okay, the bank actually stopped using HTTP and they started using HTTPS. Okay, and you tried HTTP ICICIbank.com. Now what happens is when banks stop that HTTP, they might have actually they might have stopped own ethical example. That is not the case, but just take it. What happens is someone like me, I can register for the same domain, and bank is selling that domain. I'm selling that name. They might change some name or whatever it might be. I'm buying it, and I can put a fake website of ICICI. The first page looks exactly same, and it will ask you for the same username, password, and same exact fields will be there. But when you enter the data, it will come to me, not to the bank, right? So when you enter such, when you use insecure websites, you might be giving your data to someone unknown, right? And then I will use those credentials to log into https://bank.com. I'll log into the account, I'll transfer money to my account and close the matter there. So this is a simplest way of, cyber attack, right? So if you look at the concern, increasing concern that we have today is that we are so very exposed, so much exposed through this information era to the cyber threats. You see, in 1997, very few cybercrime events were there. And if you look at 2021, the cybercrime events have exponentially increased, right? And look at the kind of threats that were there. Like initially, malicious code, Trojan. We are going to talk about each of these things. You don't need to worry about understanding these. There are different techniques. You can see this is the increasing cybercrime and increasing number of different threats. That are there across the years, and you see we are in a very red zone right now. So that's why you need to be aware of the cybersecurity threats and how you should be aware and knowledgeable, and how you should know how to prevent yourself from getting into this attack space. Okay. You look at the depth of the problem, or you look at the cost that we are paying for. Every day we are losing $16 billion. $16 billion is like, a million people can make their life, entire life used, right? But, every day we are like losing $16 billion directly or indirectly. What I meant directly is that someone directly hacks the bank. He gets the money, right? Or the indirectly means you cause an attack on an organization, and the organization spends a lot of money to protect themselves from there on, right? I might have like someone attacked my someone hacked my organization, information, organization computers and things like that, assets. Then to recover and have a software that prevents me from getting into such attacks, I would have spent a lot of money, right? So those companies are making a lot of money who sells the software, right? Like who sells antivirus, who sells anti-spam protection, and VPN softwares and firewall softwares and things like that, right? So if you convert it, like it's like 684 million per hour and 11 million per minute, and around 190K, dollars per second. It's a huge amount, that is at stake, and we are this tells how much we are exposed, right? Okay. Let's talk about what are the common types of cyber attacks. Okay, so I don't know how many of you have heard. There is something called malware. There is a DDoS, phishing, SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and botnets. Since majority of you, what I understood is majority of you are from computer science. I hope you are exposed to some of these, at least at a high level, that some of these terms with respect to computer or information security. So anyway, I'll get into details of each of these things. There are 6 types of cyber attacks. Okay, we'll talk about malware. Malware is something. Okay, it's a software that intentionally designed to cause disruption. That means you are working. Okay, you are working on let's say you are seriously working at your computer in your office, or you are seriously studying something. You got a mail popped up, okay, in your personal mail account, saying that there is a legal notice. Okay, legal notice, blah blah blah, whatever it is, and they say that you are we are sending you legal notice because you haven't paid this bill or whatever, X bill, right? You'll be scared by looking at that email. You'll be scared. Oh man, what is the problem? What is that crime that I've committed that I'm getting a legal notice? And you will be asked to click a link to immediately respond. Otherwise, you will have to face the legal charges or imprisonment or whatever it is. So it will be so scary for you, and you will have your thinking blocked. Basically, you will not be able to think anything. You want to really react immediately to it, because otherwise, if you don't respond in an hour or so, you might get into a big trouble, right? So what happens is you will immediately click at the link that they provide, and they'll ask you to provide some details about, okay, provide me your Aadhaar card and whatever, some information, right, to confirm it is you, and so that we can use this to fight the legal case or whatever it is, right? or we can use it to confirm whether it is you or not, right? So just to confirm, okay, I haven't committed any crime, let me give my details so that they understand that I am not the actual culprit or whoever it is, right? So with that fear, it makes you do a mistake of providing all the information back to the hacker who actually imitated a legal notice to you. It is just anyone can send an email, anyone can send a link. Please don't do that. But what I'm saying is, anyone can do that. Okay, they can create a mock website and they can send a mail with the link to the website where you have a form. There you will get all the details of the user, and so those details can be sold to the cyber criminals. Those information, the attacker himself can be a cyber criminal who wants to steal your data, who wants to mock your account, who says that, okay, my ATM card is is stolen or lost. I lost my ATM card. Can I get a new card? They will ask you for details. I'll give all my details, right? So all the details would be matching. It's actually not my details. It is someone else's details. When they're matching, they'll issue a card to my address. I'll use the card for whatever I want to. Isn't that a dangerous crime? So ransomware is the one we are talking about. It's a blackmailing. There is a blackmailing email, and then you will be exposed. I don't know whether I don't know if you want to respond. Anyone wants to respond? If any of you have any experience of seeing such a mail. Any of you have seen?
Anyone got any such mails?
Anyone got a lottery ticket, lottery, you won a lottery and without even participating in lottery? Anyone got a surprise gift email?
I think they got, sir.
Definitely, because that's it's not an email. At least your text messages will have in the mobile, right? So at least see, if you look at every in today's situation is that every 1,000 messages that are there, one message is definitely fake. So these are different ways to get you into the attack space and then attack you. It's like taking you into a room and mugging you or robbing you, right? When they take you, they'll say that, okay, there is something happening here. There is an unknown person came to you and said that, okay, there is something very interesting happening inside, right? Like it could be anything. I'm not getting ideas, but you know for sure, right? And why do you believe an unknown person? This is as good as an unknown person talking to you, right? Right? So ransomware is the one, the way to blackmail. Spyware is the one to basically steal your data. The way I said, right? Like someone will say that, okay, they will not blackmail you, but they will take your attention towards something, and they'll do the spying inside your information that you have in the mobile or computer or in the office or whatever, complete network. I'm sorry. And similarly, there is adware. You must be a victim of it for sure. Unwanted ads, right? How many of you started using DND? If you don't use DND, you have too many unwanted ads in your mobile, in your computer, whatever you open, right? In your tomorrow it's going to be in TVs also, because we are exposing more with the digital signage. So everywhere, right? You will get unwanted ads, right? And you will be like, either it is spamming your complete the message box. You may have limit on your message box memory. It might spam, and that is the minimum of the effect. Or it can even steal the data when you click on links and things like that. Okay. And there are worms. Worm is, right? Worm is something, a small worm in your stomach. What it can do? It can cause enough damage inside, right? Worms are like slowly spread from one place to other place, and whatever is the vulnerable area, it will go and eat that, or it will cause a damage to your normal cells and things like that. Same, in computers also. The worms are majorly spread through, these the devices and USB devices, the networks that you connect to, insecure networks you connect to, and things like that, right? Then there are Trojans. Trojan is something that you can't figure out. Okay, it looks like a legitimate message. Everything is legitimate. Only thing is, attacker uses some additional space. They will use, let's say, your username is only 1234. But the system accepts like 1234 up to 100 characters. He will use the remaining space to put some script or something like that, which the username, if it is read by a database, and if it is a database, the what is followed by 1234 is a database query. There is a possibility that it would run, and that script will have, once you enter into a home, you know what all you can steal, right? So it's like that. And botnets. Botnets is another thing where you have the cyber attackers, the basically the hackers and the people who are attacking your system and things like that. They will use not just use one computer, one source to cause a problem to you. They will use hundreds of bots. It's like a bot can be something like, okay, you set up 4 or 5 different computers at different locations and use your computers all of them to bombard some malicious traffic to the targeted machines or machine or things like that. Or it could be that a bot that learns it. A bot is a software that goes to one computer and it sees all the network within, and it will spread to the all other computers, and all of them, once they are sufficient enough to attack a target, they all will pump traffic from there without even your knowledge. Your device may be generating some traffic, right? That is for destructive purposes, cyber war. And a lot of times you might have heard that, you heard that some Bangladesh, there was an attack on an office from Bangladesh, from Ukraine, from North Korea and things like that, right? So they do attack. The cyber war attack is mainly by using botnets. Okay, this is at a high level about malware. I'd like to hear if there are any questions. I'll do a time check also.
Am I any questions? Sir, I think you can proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you. I hope all of you are able to catch, understand what am I saying. I try to keep it in simple, non-technical language so that it reaches you. This one, right? Phishing. Phishing again is very similar to what we are talking about, but here basically the attacker actually sends an email to the victim, okay, and saying that I'm your boss, okay, or there is a message from your CEO or CTO. To understand the message, click the link. Okay, this generally happening in organizations. Okay, even individuals are exposed to this one, right? What they do is like they'll say that you click the link to get the details of the message from your manager or CEO, right? When it is an end engineer, like a leaf level engineer who is working on, probably he's just an entry level engineer. When he sees an email from his super boss, who is the CEO of the company, is the top of the company, if he sees the mail, immediately he clicks that, right? That's a tendency. When he clicks the data, all the data within his computer can be hacked, because a script would be running when he clicks the link, and that script will read all the devices, okay, all the hardware, hard drives and things like that. It would steal the data and it can establish a session to the attacker's server or whatever, and it can upload there. This is one way. There is another way, is that attacker sends an email to victim. He steals only the credentials. Then he will use those credentials to get into other websites or other websites that only this victim is having access to. You know how dangerous this can be? This can be very dangerous. Okay. Although the success rate is lower, what happens is, if this victim, you think about this victim as someone who is doing a routing of your financial information. Okay. So like in the bank or whatever it is, right? If it is a bank, someone can easily steal all your account details, not just once, everyone's account details, whatever account details this victim can access, right? So it works slowly, and a lot of times it fails for sure, because the awareness, the more and more awareness is there in people, they'll stop clicking on links that are like unknown or suspicious, right? So it could be very, very dangerous, especially SQL injection. I don't know how many of you are actually aware of are familiar with databases. And Shankar said, like, is there
all are computer science students only.
perfect? So DBMS, right? You must be having one of your you must be using one of the what you call database language, right? SQL or something like that, query language, right? So the query languages are vulnerable. How they're vulnerable is basically they are not themselves vulnerable. So a web implementation, right? A web implementation, web page, right? That is asking for username and password. Okay. And what happens is, if you once you enter that username and password and you click on enter, then it will go to the information will be sent to website and say that, okay, use this username and password, get me the details, right? Get me the details to show on the page, whatever it is. Then what if you use a script that is understandable to the SQL itself, the database? Database is supposed to be behind your server, right? Your server is a web server, which is actually allowing you to connect and log in, and your credentials are managed and your session is established through that website. But then the website is having your database in the backend, and the database you will do SQL query, select star from whatever it is, XYZ, right? Like that. So now instead, sometimes what happens is these websites don't have proper checks. Okay, so you look at this one, right? The query. What database does once you provide this data, if it is Srinivas, right? Select star from users where user ID is Srinivas and password is my password. That is a legitimate query, and you don't have any issues with that. What if user is smart and he is just trying to see if the database vulnerable, or because if the website is weaker, they don't have proper checks to username and password and things like that, then he would give a query like user ID is like R1 equal to 1 / star, and similarly password star / hyphen, right? So basically the user ID can be anything, right? And password can be anything. Retrieve the info. So this is like a very, very dangerous thing to have, but it won't work that easily. Okay, don't worry, because what happens is your username and password, your first of all, you will be it will check whether it is administrator or not, right? So it will not just allow you to run this query without having a privilege level. But then there are still websites and there are still database implementations that have this vulnerability, which allow your code script to directly run when you give it in the username and password, because it uses similar query, right? Select user where user ID is this one or password is this one. So and you run this query through and retrieve that as a buffer, whatever data comes, that instead of you are mocking the website, right? You're mocking the website, you're mocking that particular what you call the particular query that the script, JavaScript or whatever sends, right? That script you are mocking, and when it is returning, you will have enough buffer to retrieve the data and store it in your memory, and you can use that data for whatever purpose you want. So this is another type of hack that is possible. Okay, so XSS is another way of basically this is again server scripts, right? Server script exploiting the server scripts. So if you see again, right, JavaScript can be having something like search and type search and values. Then type search and value can be again a script. This is also very similar to SQL injection, but this could be this could work with a non-database aspects also, right? This is another way of stealing the data or hacking your computer. There is DDoS. Okay, I don't know how many of you heard about denial of service. So by this means you can see this botnet here, right? Denial of service is something. It is a deliberate attempt to make service unusable to users. Okay, that means I don't know whether you have seen this IRCTC. I don't know how many of you book tickets in IRCTC. It's pathetic. I don't know how it is now. At least I stopped booking through IRCTC. Going to counter and booking a ticket is much easier. I'm sorry to say, for a service provided by a government, but unfortunately, you cannot even book a ticket. What happens is there is a way someone could actually stop all others from accessing the site at that point in time, and he can get access to that, right? He can get access to that through a different channel or whatever, right? So it is not really a DDoS attack. What I'm saying is, I'm talking about only interrupting service temporarily, right? So when you go to IRCTC website, you want to this mainly happens with Tatkal booking. I don't know how many of you have tried booking Tatkal tickets. I hope many of you. So when you do Tatkal booking, your website will be like kind of not responding for a long time, right? So what happens is just give me a second. I'm sorry, Shankar. Maybe I need to quickly attend this.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that was quick. So okay. So yeah. So denial of service is one thing that basically interrupts your service. Okay. So what happens is IRCTC case maybe a legitimate case that too many users are trying to access, right? What happens? Too many users try to access the service. So that's what we see with IRCTC Tatkal booking. So there are too many requests. Yeah. So there are too many requests, that are going to the server, and server is unable to, process all the requests, right? So that is kind of your service is the service is denied to you, right? For a time being or whatever it is, and it's very critical piece of time for you to book the ticket. Otherwise, you may not get the train ticket at all, right? So it's a big problem. So, but this is something DDoS, whatever we are talking about, is a deliberate attempt by someone to make services unavailable to its users. Okay, and it's an attack. So to do that, it's like simulating all the users of IRCTC, right? It's like you will have a botnet which is like multiple computers attacking the same server. Okay, so they will generate a huge amount of traffic from all these machines, and the server is basically trying to process all the requests, and the legitimate requests which are going to the server are not serviced, right? So there are attacks like SYNFlood. SYNFlood means if you have heard, if you have read about computer networks and TCP, right? TCP has a state machine. Transmission control protocol is a protocol at the transport layer, which ensures that reliability and guaranteed delivery, right? So and it has a mechanism of establishing a connection from client to server. So the very first phase of that client server connection is basically the SYN. It's a synchronized request packet. That is a packet going from client to the server saying that, okay, I want to connect to you. then server responds saying that, okay, if this is coming from a legitimate place, server responds. It will not really look for a legitimate place because the request is coming to me and it is an acceptable connection. It will try to send a SYN-ACK, an acknowledgement. Then client sends an ACK on top of it and a connection is established. They'll be able to do the data transfer. But in this particular case, what attacker would do is he would simply flood SYN packets to the server. So he will use same target, whatever IP address 192.168.1.1. He will be continuously sending SYN packets only. What happens is TCP has a state machine. It has a time to respond. It has some processing. Okay, the TCP state machine uses timer. So it will try to process all the requests. Okay, and it will try to process all the requests, and it will look for a certain amount of time to actually say that, okay, this is something that I cannot service or not. Meanwhile, it would have been flooded and all the buffers would have been full in the TCP IP stack. So it will not be able to process any more requests, and it's like, temporarily, a denial of service happening, right? It can happen to any server, including your Google or, whatever it is. One of the major attacks that happened recently in 2020 is Amazon Web Services. I don't know how many of you are aware of Amazon Web Services. They provide services, web services, basically, like, you for your organization, you can ask for email and email service and financial application processing, a lot of different things. They'll provide you compute, networking, and security. Okay, so and storage, all four. Okay, so those services, Amazon Web Services was attacked by DDoS in 2020, and they were like literally unable to service any request, and they lost a huge amount of money. And some clients even filed lawsuits, and they got a lot of money from Amazon Web Services. So these are very they may not look very appropriate for you in a day-to-day basis, but they are there in your life as well. That's what I wanted to mention, right? So now we are exposed to information technology through our devices and gadgets and things like that. So you must be aware that such things can happen. And for one example, as I said, right, unable to access IRCTC website is like, it can happen to any website that you use at some point in time. This is unintentional, but intentionally also someone can hack or cause a disruption service. Okay, so before we go to the next topic, I'd like to take questions on any of these areas we discussed. Shankar?
Anyone has any questions? Any questions? Okay, sir, proceed, sir.
Okay, thanks. So today, let us see how organizations and individuals are protecting themselves. Okay, the organizations, your college, you can take, right? Your college is an organization, right? And you have a lot of computers. You have a lot of sensitive information about student records and things like that. You have sensitive, their personal data also is recorded in the computers now. At our time, it used to be in the physical records. Only problem was like some bugs eating away the books. Otherwise, everything was kind of as long as the room is secure, the data is secure. But now, information is stored in your computer, right? Student, faculty, even faculty salaries, right? Student fees, right? This is and students' Aadhaar card information or things like these are very, very sensitive data, right? So that is stored in the organization, and that is available for any information attacker, right? Unless and until you follow some guidelines and you deploy or employ some of these the security guidelines, right? So a lot of organizations employ firewalls. Okay, we'll talk about them. Virtual private networks. When they are connecting, when someone wants to securely connect to their office from home or their office from another office and things like that, there is something called unified threat management. We'll talk about it. It's again in the firewall domain. Endpoint protection. You all know that you have to install endpoint protection in your mobile or in your computer or whatever it is. And education. We'll talk about education. Okay. The education is about whatever we talked so far, that how you need to be aware and you need to act. right? Personally, individuals, right? Individuals, they install antiviruses. Okay, they install some of the software that protects them from attacks. ETA, end-to-end encryption. They will you have to use end-to-end encryption in social media. So you must be seeing that whenever your WhatsApp connection, right? If you see, it says end-to-end encrypted, right? Your WhatsApp session is safe to use. And if you use some other app instead of WhatsApp, that may not be secure. You need to figure out whether that is end-to-end encryption or not, right? Again, so here it is like critical thinking and awareness and learning, which anyway we will discuss. So they are very important. So let's look at how organizations protect, right, themselves. So a firewall is, don't get scared by looking at this. Some of you may be knowing, that's okay. But if you are unaware, that is also okay. I'll be able to, I hope I'll be able to explain you what is this. This is your internet. Let's say on the right hand side, I don't know if you are able to see my cursor. That is your internet cloud, right? The one on the cloud right hand bottom in the picture. And there is a router. Okay, there is a firewall, something called firewall. There is another router. There are whatever this the topology of your organization where it has printers and things like that are connected, and there are computers connected which are used by your lab, your financial your finance org, finance or accounting org. Then you have student records or whatever it is. So everything is like internal. Whatever is on the left hand side is your office. What is on the right hand side is public. Right? So you are protecting your organization by a wall called firewall. What is this firewall? If you look at the basic firewall, what it does is, okay, you have lot of data that is being exchanged internally, right? Okay, some user or your accountant is printing a document on the printer. That means it starts from computer 1. Let's say this is your accountant's computer. They're printing some billing or some accounting information on the printer, right? That is internal to your organization. And similarly, someone is accessing the internet over a computer 3, and someone is storing records of students and faculty and things like that in one of the internal database. Internal database, which is like this computer internal is a database, let's say, or a server, whatever. And there may be cases where you want to have a public facing services also. We'll talk about it. We don't need to discuss in basic firewall. Now what happens is, do you really want anyone to see what your accountant is printing? You don't, right? You don't want any of this internal information to be exposed. But if you don't put firewall, this information is very much exposed outside. And anyone can do. There are very basic, I'll tell you. You look for TCP dump, there is or Wireshark. You note down and look for these tools through which you train your LAN, and you can even sniff the LAN and to see local area. LAN means local area network, to see who is sending what data to who. You can clearly see that. So yeah, if this firewall is not there, I'll have one computer here. They're all on the same network, right? Without firewall, they're on the same network. Then from this branch office or from this internet, I have one machine in this house. From this house, I'll be able to see what data is there, right? And I'll also be able to see when someone is connecting to this database, like our accountant is connecting to their, their whatever it is, right? Internal financial details through username and password. If certain measures are not taken, I may be able to see those things as well from here. And I can directly access that computer. I can directly access the data, and I can do whatever I want with it, right? So now what happens is, this firewall, the firewall, what it does is, it does two very basic things, right? There is something called network address translation. First of all, the organization, what it will do is, this network, they will call it as a private network, and they will only use a set of IP addresses. Okay, they will not use a C-class IP addresses is what they will use. C-class IP address is like 192.168.1.1 or 10.0.0.1 or whatever it is, right? They will use that network only. That means all these computers are on 192.168.1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6 like that. And what you have in the public network is probably totally different thing. 132.10.11.1, something like that, right? So the firewall, it creates a NAT with a subnet, something called subnet. That means all these routers and switches and the machines in the local network, okay, are having the same, make sure that they are in the same subnet, and any access from outside to this subnet is blocked, straight away blocked. The network address translator, what it does is, it tries to, even if you're trying to connect to internet, it will change your local IP to a public IP and send the request. To the public network, it looks like a public IP only. It'll go like 132.x.x.x. But internally, it is only 192.168.1.1. The network address translator will translate it. And when there is a request from public to access, even if someone knows that, okay, this organization uses 192.168 network, I know if I'm trying to access, it will block it here itself. Okay, so basic firewalls implement something called access control list. The access control list will tell, okay, what services are allowed and what services are blocked, what IP addresses are allowed, what IP addresses are blocked, right? What application traffic is allowed, what application traffic is blocked. Access control list. Denial of service is what we spoke about. Denial of service here is that you deny a service to a public, deny a service of your internal network to a public. These are there are ways, and it also means a protection from denial of service. That means someone is trying to flood traffic to, let's say, your accountant computer from outside. A denial of service basically ensures that no SYN packets are accepted inside. If the SYN packets are more than, like, let's say, I'll give you a different example. I'm very sorry. What happens is the public server, let's say public facing server. What your organization decided is, okay, we will open a website so that new students can join the organization, right? They can take a look at your website, your facilities through on the web page. The beautiful pictures of your campus, your achievements, and all those things are published on your website, right? So your organization, your institution's website is basically served from the services available within your organization network. But then you are allowing public to access it. For that, you will have ACLs configured to allow access to only that server, right? Or you will configure something called a demilitarized zone. We'll talk about DMZ. Only to access those servers, okay, the firewall will allow them, so they can access. But when they access, they should not use any SYN flood or anything like that to cause a denial of service to your server. So that's why firewall will have denial of service feature as well. Any questions here? I know this is a little complicated topic unless you have a subject in your class. So can you please ask me?
Am I any questions? Sir, proceed, sir.
Hope the session is not very boring. This is not an RRR movie, so so it can be boring, but I think I can even take questions offline, right, Dr. Shankar? So I'll just go over this one, but if anyone, maybe one or two people may be having questions, but they're hesitating to speak, you can even collect and forward them to me to my email. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure.
So then there is something called advanced firewall. Okay. You need to listen to this carefully if you really want to understand malware and the DDoS and attacks and the lot of phishing, not phishing attacks, but how you protect yourself from viruses, how you protect yourself from the computer viruses and things like that, how organizations protect, or how you need to protect yourself. You need to understand this topic a little bit. Okay. The same firewall can do something called deep packet inspection. That means, what is packet in the networking domain? A packet is a frame that is a bit frame, right? That is sent from one end to the other end. Okay. and it has a lot of different headers of TCP/IP, like your Ethernet header, IP header, and transport header and application header. So what happens is your packet will have maybe I should show something on the web quickly. This is on TCP. Shankar, can you just confirm whether the students have networking and TCP/IP in their subject?
Yes, sir. They have this computer networks.
Computer networks, right? Okay. Okay, let us, I don't know whether you're able to see it. Maybe we should visit the site to get a bigger picture of it. See, this is a IP packet, right?
We are only able to see your presentation, sir.
Oh, okay. Let me. Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a typical IP packet, right? So when you are transferring, data from one machine to other machine, you know that the TCP/IP has different layers involved. Okay, there is a MAC layer, which is like a physical layer, and at the very bottom is analog signal. Then you have a digital converters, and then you have Ethernet MAC. Then on top of that, you have Ethernet layer, L2 layer. Then you have network layer, which is IP, and on top of that you have TCP/UDP, and then you have application, the sockets, and then application, right? So here we talked about ACLs, right? Access control. If when you really want to block a particular sender, from sending any information or any packet to your machine or network, you can use the IP header, right? So what firewall you will use is the source IP. Which source is this packet coming from? Okay, I'll have a list of blacklisted IP addresses. If the source belongs to any of those blacklisted IP addresses, I will deny. I'll immediately drop the packet, or I'll send a. In TCP at TCP layer, you don't have intelligence of sending back an unwanted this thing, right? Or rejecting a packet. So you will simply drop it. Okay. Similarly, if you see. Similarly, TCP will have something called port. Okay, a port number. Port number represents the application, right? Which application is using this transport layer, right? This port can, if you really want to stop only a particular type of traffic, a particular application traffic, okay, coming to your server or your network, okay, you can tell firewall to only if you want to allow few, and if you don't want to allow few of the applications, then you can tell firewall that, okay, don't send me any traffic with a destination port of whatever it is, right? Because I am the destination, so I have a destination port. Let's say if you really want to block all the HTTP traffic, you really don't want anyone to browse, right? So your 80 or 8080 port, you will be blocking here, right? Like that, your firewall can help you basically deny the service, or firewall can block the unwanted traffic coming to your system. But there is more to it. Okay, firewall only does it only to an extent of checking the packet header, checking the IP address, or checking the port number to block a particular type of traffic. But there is something called deep packet inspection. If you look at deep packet inspection, what it does is it can even go higher layers. That means the application data itself. Generally, what happens is your application data is bundled, okay, into bundled inside a transport layer. On top of that, again, you have an IP layer, then you have an Ethernet layer. Other side, before it reaches the destination, you have a firewall. That is this firewall. So a packet, when it reaches the firewall, it can definitely look at IP address, which we talked about. It can look at the UDP or TCP port we talked about. It can also look at the application data. That means whatever, it can go deeper into the packet and see what is the data that application is sending. And it can take a look at, it can do some analysis on the application traffic and look for any anomalies or any intentions of hacking or whatever it may be. How would it look at? It would look for something called signature. That means if you know that always a particular type of virus always had a signature, that means this particular virus always have this script. This script is what it runs, and it is there in the application packet. So it will go, your firewall can look at your application data and it look for script. Okay, if there are these lines of code within the application data, then it would suspect and it would put it in the denial list. Okay. And why you would put it, why will not drop is because it will first, it has to analyze. So it will take a bunch of application packets. It will build the complete complete application data, and then it will see whether this is a full virus signature, and then what it will do is it will block that. So any further traffic coming from, can you hear me okay, Shankar?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have some noise in my earphone. So when you basically when you look at that signature, that okay, this virus, when first someone creates a virus and spreads it, it will go into different computers, and the organizations will analyze that the virus signatures, and they will add them to their firewall. So whenever there is a signature in a packet about a particular virus, it will drop that, and it will further deny any traffic coming from that particular source. This is how firewall will help you, protecting you from viruses. Similarly, intrusion prevention. Intrusion prevention we talked about, right? No IP address, specific IP address will be blacklisted. Specific URLs will be blacklisted, like that. So the web filtering takes care of URL blacklisting or whitelisting, and so malware protection is also there. That means any suspicious email saying that okay, you are not expecting this kind of an email to an organization. It is coming through a firewall, and the firewall also sees the content of the email, and you are not expecting such emails coming from, or maybe a source email. Let's say a source email is some xyz.net, which is already banned by government. If that is coming into your organization, you will block it there itself. That will cause a lot of malware attacks in your into your system. Okay, in the interest of time, I'll move forward. If there are any questions, please stop me. I'll continue otherwise.
So please continue, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, we talked about firewall a bit, right? So the firewall does a lot of things. As I said, right, deep packet inspection, it will ensure you all the way to application traffic of even for that matter, even your WhatsApp, or your now that WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted, even that cannot be seen by a firewall unless and until it knows the keys to decrypt it. So that may not be possible. But if there is any social media that you are accessing in an unsecure method, then that is a possibility. There is a possibility that firewall sees them. Firewall sees conversations which are probably dangerous for the organization, and it will block them. Okay. VPN is basically is a method used by organization to basically forward communicate between their remote offices. Okay, this is one of them, right? the remote offices without losing integrity of the data, without getting hacked or whatever it is, right? So VPN basically, let's say you have let's say you have one college, in your university, you have one college in Vizag campus, another college in Hyderabad campus, and they are communicating. When they communicate, they don't want any data to be leaked,
Sir,
any data to
presentation
be
is not seen.
misused. Oh, okay. This one, once again.
Yes, sir.
Can you see? Can you see now? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sorry about it. So the VPNs are basically, if you have two different sites, site A, site B. Site A is Vizag, site B is Hyderabad, let's say. So you don't want anyone to intervene and look into the data that your institutes are exchanging, right? Then you will establish a VPN between these two sites. There is a edge router at your institute when it is getting into internet, and there is an edge router on the other hand also. They both will encrypt the information that they are forwarding to each other by using some of the encryption mechanisms. Okay, I think this is I think we, in the interest of time, I don't think we'll be able to talk about encryption decryption here, but your data will be converted to a ciphertext and sent to the other site. Only that site understands that, so no one else will understand. Similarly, if you are connecting, now that work from home is very famous, right? So work from home, actually, even I'm working from home today. So my computer is actually connected to a VPN. How am I connecting to VPN? I have an SSL VPN installed. It's a software installed in my laptop. I can connect to my organization from here, and my organization gateway will allow me to get into my corporate network, and I'll be able to access the resource in the corporate network. This way, actually, your organization, this is like a LAN. Whatever LAN we talked about in the above, the LAN I'm talking about on the left hand side, it can be across multiple sites also. The LAN can be across multiple sites, like the branch office here. You can see on the right hand side top, there is a branch office. But branch office and this main office are connected through VPN network, right? Like that, organizations deploy VPN networks to protect their internal data. And also when their employees are connecting from remote. Okay, so we talked about different issues now. Actually, I wanted to stop here for questions, but I'll move forward. If anyone wants to stop, please stop me. I'll be open to take the questions. So there is a need for critical thinking, right? What is critical thinking here? What is critical thinking, by the way? What I said initially, right? When you're buying a mobile phone, you're looking for battery, you're looking for processing power, you're looking for fancy applications, you're looking for camera. You're not looking at the software updates. You should look at software updates as well. You should look at what bugs they're fixed. That means older version has that bug. There is a possibility if you're using an older version, if you're downgrading to older version, there is a possibility that you are vulnerable. So these are the additional thoughts we should have about and I'll talk about some of the problems, how they are fixed, right? See, before we talk about how some of these problems are resolved by organizations are how some of these issues of cyber attacks are addressed. We need to look at something called attack surface. Attack surface is what is the environment of your computer or device, right? Where it is connected. So it could be a USB stick you are connecting to your laptop, or it could be a memory stick that you are adding into your mobile phone. It could be a network you are connecting to your laptop. Okay, it could be applications that you are running, right? For example, some Chinese applications are banned, but you are still running in your computer, or whatever it is, right? For a good reason, they're banned. But and you might be you might be just looking at all the emails and clicking on all the emails without even looking at the sender, without even looking at the legitimacy of the sender or not reading the content properly. All these are called your attack surface. That means a surface on which attacker can play, right? Attacker can attack your system, right? Either through putting a virus inside the USB stick, okay, or the spreading USB sticks are the common common way the viruses are spread, right? Like that, it could be your attack space could be anything, your application, your device, your network, it could be anything. You need to know your attack surface. When you buy a mobile phone, you need to know that, okay, you cannot connect to public, insecure wireless connections without, WPA security or whatever. You should not connect. Okay, you should not, basically use a memory card without scanning it. Okay, you should not, you should install whatever it is, right? So the antivirus and things like that in your mobile phone, and make sure that you are aware of the applications that are there in your mobile phone, how vulnerable they are, right? So that is called attack surface. Okay. So how do you prevent from, we talked about many issues, right? Malware, phishing, SQL injection, excesses prevention, excesses. Okay. So how, we have come across, see, it's not that you are always attacked and you will keep quiet, right? So we are finding solutions for it. So basically the guideline is that you install antivirus, use secure authentication methods, always use additional OTP, like a one-time password or additional token authentication to make sure that the message is actually coming to you and you are authorizing it on top of your username password. Use administrator accounts only when necessary. You keep your software updated. You have control access to your systems. Don't let your systems exposed to unknown networks and things like that. And don't let your applications exposed to within your network itself. That means your financial information should not be accessible to a student computer or student lab. Similarly, whatever it is, right? Your other accounting or student record information is not exposed outside your network, whatever it is. And adhere to least privilege model. So don't give too many privileges, right? You always restrict only to the audience who needs to access that resource. You need to provide access only to that, right? And you need to implement email security, okay? And you need to implement spam protection. So spam protection is basically, right? The spam is like, an unwanted message in your inbox, right? And it could cause, damage if you try to open any of the links or whatever it might be. The spam messages protection is there. There is software you can install to basically protect your computer or mobile device. Monitor suspicious activity. That means whenever you get like that lottery ticket, the mail from CEO, mail from your principal, whatever it is, right? Don't click on those things. Okay. And build awareness in users. So build awareness in users means whatever we are talking about. The session itself is awareness, right? Creating awareness in you. So we need to build the awareness in users. This way, what happens is you will prevent malware to a great extent. Okay, this is not it. We know that, today we are here. Maybe tomorrow we need to learn some more. It's a continuous learning in this information space that you need to protect more and more, because more and more intelligent attacks will happen in future. Okay, so this is how you protect from malware, right? Similarly, phishing prevention. So we need to be aware. First of all, you need to know what is a phishing scam looks like. Okay, don't click that link. You get the anti-phishing add-ons. Okay, don't give your information to an unsecured site. Rotate your password regularly. Change passwords regularly. Don't keep your password more than 2 months or 3 months. Don't never ever keep your passwords in any information server for more than 2 to 3 months. Don't ignore the update. This is what I told. Install firewalls, in your computers, in your network routers and things like. Don't be tempted by those pop-ups. Okay, the pop-ups saying that you got this, you won this gift, you have lottery, whatever it is. Right? Don't get tempted by pop-ups. Don't give out information unless must. Right? Don't tell anyone. Right? Some people will ask for Aadhaar card, although it's not necessary. Aadhaar card number. Don't give it. Okay. Have data security platform to spot signs of an attack. Okay. This is maybe a little bit of at an organizational level, but you need to understand. When you understand the attack surface, you understand all these things. SQL injection. Okay. So SQL injection is where when it will happen when you are developing a website, when you have a website of your own and others are accessing it and they can possibly access your database. So you need to make sure that the people who are the developers of your website are aware of these SQL injection possibilities and don't trust the user input. That user input that user, as I said, right, that username, password can be a string or script itself, which can be run by the database. So you have don't trust it. That means you add checks in your website implementation to make sure that the attacker is not actually accessing your database, right? Use allow list instead of a block list. So instead of keeping a block list, keep allow list. Allow list means you reduce the possibility of number of people accessing your system or your phone or whatever it is, right? That means when you enable DND, everything is blocked, right? Only the contacts which you have added will be allowed, right? Similarly, use an allow list. Don't use a block list. Okay. Perform regular security scans, perform routing updates, and use the newest version of applications to use validated prevention methods. These all look, even XSS has very similar way of preventing XSS attacks. Okay, avoid and restrict HTML pages, sanitize values. Okay, all these you will do, but this all looks like, oh man, do I need to really do all these things to protect my my mobile and things like that? Rather, I would not use my banking accounts and things like that. That may be one smart decision, but so are these solutions enough? The solutions are only for today, right? Tomorrow is going to be totally different paradigm, totally different attack surface, right? Tomorrow is going to be even more dangerous with respect to cyber attacks. Okay, there is no single solution to all the cyber security problems that we have already discussed. So many different things you need to take care of. It's so very complicated, and there will be technological advancements in the computing that can increase the attack space, right? That means quantum computing. I don't know how many of you have heard. You are going to witness a computing model that you have never seen, and things that you can't even imagine are possible in future with the quantum computing. We are limited by this Van Neumann architecture, and because of which we are actually limited in processing power today. But quantum computing solves all the problems, and there are infinite possibilities of a computing at a very faster pace. And people are even trying to realize the dreams of time machines and things like that with quantum computing. Don't underestimate this one. Okay, so quantum computing is so very serious thing that is happening in the industry today, and they're going to be computers which are like maybe 100 million times faster than your current computer. There are going to be 5G speeds. 5G's reach and speed have extremely gone up, right? And tomorrow's world of mobile phones, tomorrow's world, the landscape is going to change. And even some of these top industrialists, they are saying that mobile phone also will go away. Okay, it will only be the small gadgets that you use, and everything is connected seamlessly, no issues, right? Like you will have a watch, okay, that does a lot of things for you. You will have a small hearing aid, or you will have a goggle that does a lot of miraculous things for you. All those are going to happen with the kind of speeds we are going to have, the speeds through quantum computing and the increasing cloud storage. So you have so much of storage every single day. Now mobiles are coming with default cloud account to you. That means all your data is stored, all your images, videos, everything is stored on a cloud memory. You don't know how it is protected and things like that. So issues due to increasing dependency on software. We have too much dependency on software every single day, right? You can't even move a muscle without software today. You believe it or not, your supermarket will be shut down. If you are not relying on outside markets, your supermarket can just be shut down. They can't even process any of your buying, any of your purchases without a computer, without having their computer and network on. I went to Reliance, a mart in our community. One day they said they can't sell anything, although everything is available. Yeah, they're just blocked. They're just blocked because there is a power outage or network outage they have. So you can't even imagine your life moving without the information technology on and working for you. So there is increasing dependency on software. There is going to be even more bigger problems that autonomous cars. Can you imagine an autonomous car running in India, right? In our traffic and things like that. So it's unimaginable, but it can happen one day, right? So autonomous automobiles and automobile security is also very, very important. You are talking to an unknown. You can see, without your intention, without your intervention, without your will, or without your whatever it is, right? Your knowledge, your car can go and crash into a wall or whatever it is, because someone else can control your car, right? So be ready, right? Be ready for all these things in your future. I know you are going to define the new security standards and things like that. So you need to be aware. You need to be very, very careful about choosing what we are going to design for future, right? So, and autonomous industries and robotics and robots are more scary, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, they are replacing our jobs simply, right? I don't know how many of you are aware that job market is already eaten away. Some of the services job market, right? The call centers, the some of these jobs are already going away, right, to this AIML. So there, that takes away our job. Not only takes away our job, they are also trying to process our intelligence. A human intelligence is, some industries are very, very serious about processing human intelligence to these robots. And Dr. Shankar, your faculty is very much aware of those things, and he's an expert by himself in the robotics area. So you will get a lot of info from him. So yeah, so the current solutions are not enough. Now what we need to do moving forward, right? We need to think critically. What is thinking critically? So earlier you were not worried about your bank account. Now you are worried about your bank account, your username, your phone pay, someone is stealing your data or whatever it is, right? Or stealing your money. You are worried about it. Why? Because you are forced to do it. You are forced, right? You don't know what your mobile is doing right now. You don't know your mobile, while you are sitting there, your mobile is being hacked. You don't even know that. There are million possibilities for any of these things to happen. So you need to think critically, you need to be aware, and you need to be careful. That is what I'm mentioning here. It is necessary to build critical thinking in avoiding problems in the information space. You are getting information space, you are getting exposed to, like building an office, buying a computer, buying a phone, adding apps, using bank info, storing passwords, accepting calls. It could be just accepting a call. You may accept a call from a Pakistani who is creating a problem in your life unnecessarily. He might be just calling few people. I don't mean Pakistani, I mean terrorist or whoever it is. So there are good people in Pakistan as well. I'd like to take it back, but see, a terrorist whose intentions are bad, right? And one just a call for you, he might be randomly calling 100 people, but the central investigative agency will come to you and say that, okay, why did you get this call from this person? Do you know it? Do you really want that trouble? So you got to be very, very careful about what you have, what you are getting into, right? First of all, you need to keep a doubt in your mind. Do not simply accept your choices by emotion. Okay. When I said don't choice by emotion, is that lottery tickets, that blackmailing email about your legal notice, right? Things like the doubt. You need to doubt. Doubting will lead to a question, okay, which will lead to answer. You might not have cogitated. So you might not have thought about even those things, right? You just think about it, right? Like you may be getting hacked. Now what you will do is, okay, as long as this session is on, you turn off your mobile phones. That is the easiest and safest method. So simple cognitive, simple thinking that, okay, I need to be careful. That's all. What I'm saying is I need to be careful. I don't mean to scare you, but there is a possibility that not here, but there is you go to a coffee shop who says internet is free, right? You are in the coffee shop, you are browsing something. There is one malicious user who wants to do some attack from that same coffee shop. He is doing the attack. He does it. He goes. And when it comes to, he might not have paid bill. He might not have given his mobile number correctly, but you might have given it to the shop owner. Then what happens is, when there is an investigation about that, the questions you will be called and questioned. What were you browsing? What were you doing? Show me the data, all those things. Is it really necessary? But it can happen to you. It can happen to you because you are in a very unsecure network environment, right? Isn't that a possibility? So, and question, And every time you need to be aware. What I'm saying is, you question whenever you get into a new area, right? You will think, okay, when you are getting into darkness, in the darkness, you will say, okay, I need a torchlight. You know for sure you need a torchlight to see what is there. Otherwise, you don't know what you are hitting, what you are getting into, where you are jumping, and things like that, right? Similarly, this is a darkness unless and until you are aware. You are getting information is also information processing is happening behind you. You don't know a lot of information processing. So you are getting into darkness. You need to be aware all the time. You are like you are walking in a jungle. You need to be aware. You need to know what you will do next if something happens. Right? That is question. Formulate your question specifically. Gather information to answer those questions and doubts. Apply this information. Think and assess information comprehensively. Consider implications and accept the result. Okay. Take measures as discussed. Right. So critical thinking must eliminate bias and manipulations to achieve best results. See, why am I saying this is because it's not just because you need to do it on a day-to-day basis. It's because you are going to build the future. So you are today sitting there and listening to me, and you will be teaching someone about what you have done in the future to your students or the people, your kids and things like that, right? So you are the future, generations. You need to be careful, and you need to educate others, your kids and all those people in future. And you know what, how these things are, that attack space is evolving, and how that can impact others' lives and things like that. Educate your friends. Don't just go out of this room and just close the forget about this matter. Discuss with your friends. You will know. Your friend might say, "Hey, actually, I got into this situation." Right? You discuss with your friends. That is like how you create awareness, right? So yeah. So thinking critically is very, very important, and it's very it's a necessity of the day. And I want you all to be aware of it. And that's it. I think the conclusion is basically, yeah, does critical thinking sounds like a necessity in the information era? I want to hear from you. I'm done. Thank you very much. I just want to hear from you an answer. I say that indeed, yeah, it does. But I want an answer from you. Maybe an answer together. Is it a yes?
They're saying yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, Shankar, I'm done. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Madhusudan sir, and the institution. Thank you, Shankar, for inviting me for the talk, and I really enjoyed it because I'm only talking, so I did not give opportunity to others. If there are any questions, I'll take it.
I think it's actually lunchtime, and people are ready leaving. So thank you, sir, for the enlightening lecture on this cybersecurity. I hope that your lecture helps our students.
Thank you, Shankar. Thank you very much, and I hope that also. So, and yeah, it was a very nice, seeing your students and talking to you and your dean sir and things like that. So, I'm very happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye.